Hellas Kölsch.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. Today I've got some Kölsch, which is a very interesting style of beer if you're a beer geek. This beer, or any Kölsch, any true Kölsch, has to be brewed within 50 kilometres of the Cologne city centre. Now, that has been stipulated by the EU. They have a location protected status there, if you can see that on the bottle. You'll see that on the other genuine Kölsch bottles as well. It's got some very, very strict stipulations. It has to be top fermented, it has to be filtered, and it has to conform to the, well, Reinheitsgebot, obviously. Unless it's been exported, of course, which, again, people say, you know, they're drinking pure beer. If it's been exported, the Germans can put anything they like in it, because it's basically only beer sold in Germany that has to conform to the Reinheitsgebot. If there is a brewery exporting stuff to wherever else in the world, they can put fucking rats droppings, old socks, whatever they want. There is no law against it in Germany. This was brought over from Germany by my mate Norby. He actually got it from Cologne, I think, and thanks very much for that, mate. And Kölsch is a style that I like. Now, you can buy this over here. You can buy Kölsch over here. Morrison's sell through Kölsch, and it's quite nice. I cut the odd bottle up here and there occasionally when I'm down there. And I've reviewed some Kölsch on the channel. I think the ones that spring to mind are the Fru one, of course, which is the largest Kölsch brewer in, or from Cologne, I should say. I've also done Riesdorf, Gaffel, Dom, and perhaps the most important Kölsch brewery, the Sion Kölsch, which they were all good. I quite liked all of them. It's a nice style. Now, again, as I say, it's got some very strict stipulations. It has to be served in a special type of glass, and this is the type of glass. So I've actually got a Hellas Kölsch glass. This is called a Stange, which roughly translates to pole or rod, and the reason for that is it's very slim, very tall, or tallish. I've just know this is quite dirty, so fuck knows what's going to happen. But it's only 300ml, and there's a reason for that. The 300ml is to keep the beer, or keep the beer that you're drinking as fresh as possible. So what does that mean? Well, if you've only got 300ml, you're going to finish that quite rapidly, and then you're going to order another one. So you're basically drinking fresh beer all the time, and I think that's a great idea. And it's why I'm sort of against the idea of a Stein or a Mass, you know, them big litre Steins or Masses, because I think by the time you get to the end of it, the pint has been exposed to the light, it's gone warm, and it just doesn't taste the same. So that's a great idea, and I do like that. And lots of, well, I think all Kölsch, certainly in Cologne, is sold like that. You don't actually order it, you go and sit down. Apparently this is the custom. You go and sit down, you put or they give you a glass, they fill it up. If the waiter or waitress sees that your glass is empty, they will immediately come over and fill it, and they will mark off on your beer mat you've had another one. And basically when you've had your fill, you put your beer mat on top, and they'll come over and charge you. Quite an effective system, if you're honest, because you could just fuck off and not pay. I do not encourage that, and I would not condone that. I think if you do that, that's a bit shit. But there you go. Anyway, Kölsch, very interesting history. As I say, it can only come from Cologne. And again, I'm going to go off on my World War II rant, not rants, but escapades and tales of what happened with beer in Germany during World War II. Kölsch comes from Cologne for the fucking 100th time. Cologne had the shit bombed out of it during World War II. It really did. And the RAF bombed the crap out of it at night. Incendiary raids, everything. Fucking flattened it. Funny thing was, the Fru Brewery was relatively untouched, but I think there was 24 breweries at the start of World War II in Cologne that were brewing Kölsch. By the end of it, there were 2, and the Fru Brewery was one. I don't know, I can't find out who the other one was. It may be the Sion Brewery, I'm not sure. But a lot of them did start up again after the war had finished. Now, lucky for this lot, they weren't around then, because this lot have been going since 1991, which is relatively new to the party. And they have signed up to what is called the Kölsch Convention. That was something that was agreed by the Kölsch brewers at the time in 1985. And it basically means that they brew the beer the old-fashioned way, with the strict stipulations, i.e. it being top fermented, it being filtered, it being served in a stanger, it being lagered for quite a long time, etc. You get the picture. And that goes back to the 1600s, when in Germany the bottom fermented lagers from the Czech, well, it would have been Bohemia and Moravia back then, but the bottom fermented lighter coloured beers that were coming over were becoming very, very popular in Germany, and the brewers in Cologne especially were getting rightly pissed off that all these young upstart brewers were starting to brew this popular Czech style of beer, and they thought the tradition that they had been upholding since then was going to get lost. So the Cologne town or city council at the time, they stipulated that you could only brew beer from the finest ingredients, conforming to the Reinheitsgebot, top fermented, but lagered in a certain way. And there were other stipulations to that. And I think that's what the Kölsch Convention was brought about to do in 1985, was to get the Kölsch brewers to sign up to brew the beer in that way. Now, this Kölsch beer is from Hellas. They've been going since 1991, and they are an organic brewery. I don't know whether you can see this on here. Oh, come on, autofocus, do your fucking job. I could have 1 million subscribers if it weren't for this autofocus. That denotes that everything in the beer is organic, so it should taste good. Now, as I say, I do like the Fru Kölsch, and I pick it up quite regularly. That is the largest brewer of Kölsch in Cologne and in Germany, I would imagine. As I say, this is geographically protected, so if you see Kölsch being brewed by anyone outside of there, a lot of these craft brewers attempt to do a Kölsch. I think there's some American craft brewers do it. It's not genuine Kölsch because it has to be brewed within 50 kilometres of the city centre of Cologne, as I've said. Now, there's there's the tradition of the stanger as well, but there's also, and this Hellas brewery promote this as well. There's a dish, well, I wouldn't say it's so much as a dish, as a snack that is popular in Cologne called the halve han, which is actually Flemish, but it's basically a rye bread roll split in half, buttered with some Gouda cheese in it, some raw onions, and a little bit of mustard. And the mustard they have over there is a bit like the Dijon mustard, not the one with the grains in it. It's the smooth mustard. And on my next outing to Morrison's, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get some Gouda cheese. I'm gonna get some rye and some raw onions, and I'm gonna enjoy that because that sounds really nice. That's right on my street. I do love a bit of cheese, and it goes fantastic with beer. Somebody asked me the other day, and I shot them down in flames straight away. They said, "Is there any meal, any savoury meal that cheese doesn't go with?" And I immediately fired back, Chinese. And they had to agree, because cheese don't go with Chinese. It goes with Indian. I've had cheese naans before, not with Chinese. It just doesn't work for some reason, and I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it. I'm not going to try it either. It looks fucking horrendous. Imagine a load of melted cheese over a chicken chow mein. No, thank you. Anyway, I'm bordering on the talking bollocks, as if I'm not already. Let's get this open and let's see what's going on. Right, before we get it open, I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of what's going on here. This is a 500ml bottle, no back label on this, and it's 4.5%, quite sessionable. So yeah, that's quite a good sessionable ABV. There isn't much else. There's no brew sheet on their website. It says Hopfen und Malz aus Kontrollient. I'm not even going to pronounce that because I know there's fucking Germans wetting themselves laughing at my pronunciation. But yeah, there it is. There's the bottle. There's the glass. Let's get it open and let's do battle. Right, another flip top bottle. Oh, that didn't go plop. Oh well. This is quite an ecologically friendly way of bottling your beer, i.e. with a flip top cap. That's really strange. That looks like it's got a pink hue. It's almost wine-like. Interesting. I'm going to fill it up to there. Now, as you can see, that has got no... Well, do you know what? That's got a little bit of a haze to it. I thought it was meant to be filtered. But it has, there's the definite haze on that. The state of that glass. It's fucking disgusting. What are we getting on the nose? Nice. Nice bit of hop character on there. Quite nice. It smells more or less like a Pilsner. There's quite a fair amount of hop character on there. Noble hop character. Nice grassy, sweet grassy and almost hay-like notes on there. But there's also some of that bready malt that you get from a lot of them German breweries. Now, this is brewed with top fermented yeast at a warm temperature, and it's lagered for a fairly long time. So you could argue that the first part of the process is reasonably similar to golden ale, but from experience I think that lagering does give it the edge over golden ale. But I'm digressing. Let's get this tasted. Zum Wohl, as I say in Germany. Quite nice. There is a little bit of golden ale notes about this actually. The malt that's used on this is giving it quite a bit of a, I wouldn't say a biscuit malt, but it's bordering on bready and biscuit. It's quite nice though, not complaining. There is a bitterness to it, like a hop bitterness, and it's not spicy. I wouldn't call that spicy bitterness. It's more like I don't know, maybe some of the alpha acids in the hops that they've used have come out and have given that some hefty bitterness on there. Oh, look at that, you idiot! What have you done? Oh no, it's not too bad. Not too bad. There are rumours, and I've seen this description in a few places, that they say that Kölsch tastes like the tears of when people see Cologne Cathedral for the first time. It's like, fuck off! You are not fooling anyone. The fucking tears. Oh well, to be honest, I bet there were a few tears when Cologne Cathedral got bombed. In fact, there's some quite good footage. I know I'm fucking going back to me war again. I should rename this Bands, Bikes and fucking World War II. But there's some very interesting footage. If you look on YouTube, it was actually a tank battle in Cologne. Well, it wasn't. It was a tank battle actually. There was a Panther tank, German Panther tank, and it was basically defending one of the bridgeheads over the river. And the Americans, I think, took Cologne, and you see footage of this Panther tank, and they actually traced all the crew. One of the crew was killed. The Panther tank actually took out, I think, three American tank destroyers, but they've managed to research everybody that was in the video from World War II and that battle. They've interviewed them as well, and you find out what happened afterwards. And it really does give a backstory to what happened there. But I'm digressing. I should really do another channel on World War II stories, but there's far too many people doing that would do it better than me. Anyway, we're not talking about World War II, we're talking about Kölsch. So Kölsch. So let's try again. It's quite nice. I do like it. In a blindfold test, I would defy anybody, unless you're a super, and I do mean a super beer expert with a highly tuned palate. I think most people in a blindfold test would just say that's simply a lager. I would have called it a Pilsner, because it has, this particular one, because it has got some bitterness on there, which is nice. But I can see some of the similarities between this and the Frou stuff. Of course, this is organically, well, they use organic ingredients in this, and it's nice. It's quite clean drinking. Lovely mouthfeel, quite light mouthfeel. Carbonation is absolutely spot on. You can tell. Look at the head on that. That is really nice. There's some foamy. That's a foamy head, but it's got tightly compacted bubbles, and when you see that, that's generally the sign of a good pint. I'm loving this. This is great. I must admit, and I'm gonna hold my hands up here, to not being able to tell you which is the better Kölsch that I've tried. To me, they all taste relatively similar. And I don't know whether that's because of the Kölsch convention, which you're basically using the same ingredients. Now, I'm saying it's the same ingredients and techniques, but obviously you can use different types of hop, different types of malt. It obviously has to be a light malt that you're using. But to be honest, I really can't tell the difference. I know I'm doing this from memory, between this and the Frou Kölsch. This one is brewed on a lesser scale, and the Frou is brewed on a bigger scale. But I'm sorry, I just could not tell you. I'm going to just say that this is a good beer. It's a good Kölsch. I don't have really a benchmark for it. It's a sub-style all on its own. You could argue that technically it's a lager, but then I could argue back that it's not, because they use top fermenting yeast and it's brewed using warm fermentation. The only similarity at the end of it is the lagering period, and of course the appearance, and arguably the flavour as well. It's nice, very light, very sessionable. I imagine this would go well with food. It's a nice palate cleanser, and yeah, I'm enjoying that. That is really nice. So, what is the verdict on Heller's Kölsch? Well, I bought the glass because I wanted a Kölsch Stanger, and I managed to find one on eBay. And this was the first one that turned up. It was relatively cheap, and I thought I'll buy it. And it's a beer that I've known about but never tried it. And thankfully, my mate Norby, he brought some over for me. So now I can say that I've tried it. And you know what? It isn't bad. If you're new to Kölsch, you should be able to get some in Morrison's. They do the Frou stuff, and that is, I wouldn't say it's the definitive, but it's the biggest brewer of the stuff, and it's quite nice. If you like lager, you're going to like Kölsch. Trust me, I'd be really, really surprised if somebody said, now, there are connotations that I'm not going to go into, but my mate Norby, he has certain opinions on Kölsch beer, and I'm going to leave it there. But I would defy any fan of Helles, any fan of Pilsner, to dislike Kölsch. I would love for them to point out what the difference is, because to be honest, I really can't taste that much of a difference. Yeah, the flavour is lager-esque, but you're not really going to get a definitive flavour, in my opinion, from this. It's not that type of style that produces, in my opinion, a unique flavour. I could be wrong on that. I could get shot down in flames by a Kölsch expert, but to me, that just tastes like a lager. The only thing with it, of course, is the brewing technique. But on the strength of it, just going by what it is and what it tastes like, that's good. I have absolutely no complaints about that whatsoever. There are no nasties in there. There is nothing that would put me off, and I would have absolutely no issues buying that again. If ever I go to Cologne, I will just be drinking Kölsch. I may even pick some of this up if I'm over there. But yeah, I like it. It's nice, and I'm going to give that, I think it's a worthy 8 out of 10. It isn't doing anything wrong. It's quite nice. It's drinkable. And yeah, if you see some, get some. Try and get hold of a Stanger. That's how you're supposed to drink it. But if you haven't got one, don't really worry about it. It's only when you're outside and you're buying the stuff on the tap. I imagine in Cologne these are just standard. But yeah, I don't think it really matters, to be honest, over here in the UK. The whole point of this is to keep the beer fresh. And just a final note on the glass. It's tall. It's obviously 300ml, so that's all you're going to get in there. But the glass is relatively thin, and apparently thin glass like this keeps it colder longer than thick glass. That's a scientific fact, apparently, and there is evidence to back that up. So I am not, for once, talking bollocks. That is the truth. And yeah, and they've obviously capitalised on that with these Stangers, and that's why they serve Kölsch in it. The whole point of that is to keep the beer as fresh as possible and to keep you drinking fresh beer, which I think is good. And if it's a good beer and you're keeping it fresh, you're fucking quids in. 8 out of 10, recommended. And remember, beer is working class champagne.